Gents, welcome back to another week of the One Percenters Podcast. Heading into game week 6. Thrilled and excited, first of all, to have our panelists back and welcome Hass back from his international break. Lovely to have you back, my man.
Thanks. Looking forward to another good chat.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Kazim, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, just had a good end to the game week. It wasn't as good as I expected, but I'm still hanging on, and as long as I'm getting green arrows, I'm staying positive.
Yeah, I had strong green arrows on Saturday and then strong red arrows on Sunday, so it's been that kind of week for me. Hass, how about yourself? How did you get on?
You know what? It was an average week. When you look at some of the big scores with people who captain Kane, they're in the like 80s, 90s, and I had an average score 55. I'm plugging away. I think 2 or 3 fixes in my team, and I think I'm good. Trying to just save that wild card.
Yeah, you know what? I went with your theory of patience, and I didn't swap out De Bruyne for obvious replacements. But it is what it is. I've saved my last introduction for the man who scored the highest this week. And so, Hammer, congratulations, 69 points this week. Welcome.
Yeah, for once, I'm the first guy here. Surprisingly, without Son or Kane.
Wow. Okay, no, we're going to have a look at this then. But how did you get on in general?
I got 69 points, so not too bad. I had Mitrovic, who gave me a nice 0. Without him, maybe we would have done better. But
I think we're in this Mitrovic support group together.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I think Hass is there too.
Yep, nice 0 points, missed pen.
Yeah, I think end of the day is the same thing Hass said. 1 or 2 changes and the team can get better, but I see a few holes, so we'll see.
Brilliant. I know, but I mean, it's such a situation where like a few things go differently and you're in such a much better position. Like for me, it was Phil Foden. He was in on goal. He got an assist for Sterling's goal, but he should have scored that, should have scored another one. Jimenez missing a bucket load of chances, Mitrovic missing chances. Like, it's such fine margins, to be honest. Such fine margins that makes you wonder.
Yeah, I got lucky with Roberton, and I guess Size with the clean sheet. Otherwise, most defenders ended up getting 2s and 1s, as we've seen this season. So that helped.
It was finally a 0-0, no?
Yeah, I know, right? I was literally just going to ask one of you that. What did you guys think of the first 0-0?
I didn't see the game.
No, I didn't see it.
Listen, we had to pay 15 quid to watch it. And apparently 76 people did that.
That was like worldwide? Or I guess it's
only that was the UK thing, the pay-per-view. Yeah. So, yeah, it was painful. I'll be wanting my money back, to be honest.
Yeah. You know what? That's one of the good things about in Canada this year, because it's all on one online streaming service called DAZN. So it's $150 Canadian. So what's that, like just under £100, 80, 90 pounds. And that's for every single game for the whole season. And it includes Champions League.
That's insane. That's
genuinely
insane. Here we have BT and Sky. And if you have both, you still have pay-per-view games as well.
Yeah.
It's to replace the fact that they didn't used to show 3 o'clock kickoff. So I think they justify that, you know what, it's still okay if we don't show some games and charge extra. But yeah, congrats guys. This week we're sort of our focus areas are gonna be sort of Spurs and how well they got on. Then we're gonna look at a few defensive options, a few options people playing their wild cards as well, what to do with injured players as well, and whether premium forwards are worth it. But let's start with Spurs, and I will come to Kazim just because it might hurt him to talk about Spurs, and how good they are. But I didn't expect this game to be that free-flowing and open. I expected it to be a really tight game, and that's why I didn't bank on Spurs. Was that what you were expecting as well?
Yeah, for me, I mean, first of all, I'm sort of healed some of my wounds from the Chelsea result, given that we sort of gave up that game as well. So I was happy with the draw, but from a fantasy perspective, I mean, those first 15 minutes or 20 minutes, like, they were like, I'm sure you guys were getting those WhatsApp messages that like Spurs are going to win the league, this is the new Spurs, like Mourinho has changed Harry Kane into, they like to say the number 9.5. So not a number 10, but also a striker doing sort of both roles. But yeah, I think I'm gonna jump on the Spurs train. It seems like they're the only team right now that are consistently getting those explosive results. Whether their team is getting like the results themselves from an FPL perspective, I think there's a lot of potential there where they can get those big
Yeah, I mean,
scores, 10, 15 points.
why do you think we've taken longer than normal to sort of jump on the bandwagon? People have been sort of like not as quick to jump on like Spurs players.
I think it was just the Mourinho mentality, right? Like everyone has that mindset. Mourinho is gonna, get his 1-2-0 result and then park. But it seemed like a very different, at least in a few of the games. I agree, not all of them, but at least a few of the games, they seem to be more attack based. And I think I guess their central midfielders are really allowing Kane, Son, and I guess soon to be Bale to really open up and create space.
So I heard a stat actually, and
bring it,
everyone
lay on,
sort of
go on then.
relate to this.
Yeah.
Every season we never pick Kane to start because he never scores in August.
Yeah,
The
I heard
season
that one.
this year didn't start in August, so Kane started well.
He's ready to hit the
Whereas
ground running.
we usually wait for Kane to get going, right? So maybe that's why most of us just said leave Kane until the month ends.
Now, Hass, I don't know if you had Kane when he's hurt me a lot in the past seasons. He's blanked against teams like Cardiff. He's blanked against like teams like West Brom in the past as well. So it's like it's not that same confidence you have as a captain or bring him in.
Yeah,
I have trust issues 100%.
You know what? I think it was not last year. I think it was season before. I triple captained on Kane on a double game week, and he got me 3 points, right? So double to 6 because it was just poor effort. But no, I think like you said with Spurs this season, their focal point of attack seems to be Kane and Son. So I think you got to have at least one of those guys in your team. And I was reading, just talking about stats. Like in the last 4 away games, Kane has got 6 goals and 5 assists.
That's
right,
insane.
which is mental, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're away this weekend as well, so it could be a captain option, but you never know. And the mentality that Kazim was talking about with Mourinho, where he likes to just sit back and defend once he's got his lead. Well, now they blew a 3-0 lead, so that he might be going back into that mindset. So
Exactly.
it's another one to look at.
He's always not very far away from reverting to type. That's the thing with Jose. Is like he'll play free flowing football as long as it suits him, but then when things aren't going their way, that's when you sort of worry about. But if and when that does happen, I think if they're going to score, it would be through Son and Kane either way. Would you guys, if you were wildcarding this week, would you fancy a double up on Spurs, or would you just go with one or the other? And which one? So Hass, what do you reckon?
You know what? If I was wildcarding, I'd take both, because if you look at their next 3 fixtures, they're really, really good fixtures. After that, you look at, I think the next 3 after that. So the next 3 games are good, and the next 3-4 games aren't so good. So if you were going to wildcard and you can jump on both of them now, and then maybe ship one out after 3 or 4 weeks, I think you'd be in a good spot.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and by that time, I think because there's only really 2 premium strikers, it's Kane and Aguero, I guess, in that 10 and above range. So if you can sort of hold Kane till then, and then you potentially have the option of upping to Aguero maybe once he hits a bit more form. So that's a good option, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Hammer, double up or just Son?
If you have a wild card, I stick with it double up. Mainly because, like I said, after 3 weeks at that price, you can easily swap him for someone else. If you're not using a wild card, take one of them, only because Kane's so expensive. You'll have to get rid of quite a few players to accommodate Kane and still keep your team. So I would go with one. My recommendation would be Son, just because of the price range. And he's a midfielder, so if he keeps scoring goals, it's an extra point every goal.
Yeah, true. And you get the clean sheets bonus. Not that there's many though. Never mind that. Scrap that one. But any other? So
Son did get it last week, but yeah.
Oh yeah, he did as well. Actually, I thought that when he went off as well, he banked it.
Yeah.
I had literally no action in that game. It was so painful to watch, and I just saw it happen. I'd seen 10 minutes. I was like, enough of this.
Because you had no coverage, right?
I had 0 coverage. I had my injured KDB, and I had the world beater Daniel Podence as well, who was meant to set the world alight, but it is what it is. Then, have you guys had a look at Reguilon? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, so he's the only guy I'd look at from the Spurs defense, the way he gets up and down the field. But you know what, right now with the way things are defensively, you want to make sure that your defenders can get attacking returns, right? So he's one of the guys that potentially you could look at. But then with Wolves and Sace, you know, he got the clean sheet yesterday. He had a goal disallowed.
Oh, what a goal as well. Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, no.
Great volley, man.
Who would have
Yeah,
got the
it's
assist on that?
Potence, it's millimeters.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing is that's what you have to think about with like someone like Kane, is he takes away from the ability to get sort of, you'd have to release funds in defense as well. So defensively, you would have to look at getting rid of like your premium defenders like a Trent or a Roberton and see whether that's worth spending further forward. And would you guys, before we move on from Spurs, one more question is Gareth Bale. Is he worth a punt, or is sort of Son and Kane too set? The way I see it is that Kane would be a pivot and these two would sort of play off him. But is he worth a punt, or would you just need to see more of him?
For me, like based on that 15-minute cameo he had, like he definitely didn't seem match fit, and he had that nice little move that he did on that one play where he missed.
So nice though.
So I think he definitely has that potential, but it's just his injury is either not fully healed, or he just doesn't have that match fitness yet to really invest 9.5, especially when Son is still cheaper. I think he'll eventually probably go up, but
Maybe this week.
I still think Son is a better option right now, and I'll just stick with him.
I agree. I think, you know, Bale's the type of guy that everybody wants in their team. And, you know, you might, you know, when it gets to the second half of the season, once he's fit, you might want to try and sneak him in. But for now, it's a wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
if Son's value goes to 9.8, 9.9, then trade him up for 9.5 Bale.
There you go. Good thinking.
Long game. Fully playing the long game.
This game week was, I guess, a lot of people maybe pull the trigger on either Bale or Pulisic, the two returning from injury. But I think, as you can see, it takes time for these guys to hit that form again.
Yeah, I heard this, it's a bit of a tangent, but I heard this on another FPL podcast, and it's about like people say don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? But at the same time, if that basket is what's producing the most points, then why not? Because then you're biased against it, if that makes sense. Like, so if just because you have Son, if Kane is the best option up front, you shouldn't not get Kane just because you have Son. If that makes sense. That's the way I've been, like, same thing with Richarlison and DCL. If they're the best sort of options in that space, then why would you not double up?
Yeah.
I feel like we have a fear around that.
It's good thinking. And I think if you do that, then, you know, you may have a week where you don't get a good game week score, but then the next week you could have an amazing score. And it's that week where you don't have the good game week score. That's when people are like, oh no, I made a mistake. And then, you know, they take hits.
Yeah. Exactly. Last week, Hass, first of all, we missed you. But secondly, we talked about Liverpool defenders. And what we landed on, I think, was don't buy, don't sell. If you don't have them, don't buy them. If you have them, don't sell them. Are we now in a position to see that there's so many options further up? And this is moving on to more the defensive conversation, where it's not value for money anymore. Sort of Trent is not getting in the box as much. Van Dijk is injured, so the potential for clean sheets is less. What are your thoughts generally around that?
Yeah, so you know what, with Van Dijk, it's a big hit for Liverpool in their clean sheet potential. But I think Robbo is still a valid option. I've got Trent in my team. I'm gonna try and have to see how I can get rid of him, because I was looking at the underlying stats for Robbo and Trent, and this season Robbo is playing more like Trent was last season, where he's getting in the box, he's put, you know, touches in the box, getting the crosses in, whereas, you know, Trent nothing. So it's, you know, it's a case of, do you downgrade to Trent? Do you downgrade to Robbo, who's now 7.1? Or do you just skip them totally and go for a 5.5 or a 6? Like Dean is there from Everton. You know, you said Reguilon from Spurs. It's a couple of other cheaper options.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, what are your thoughts? Still don't buy, don't sell? Anyone? Are you keeping the faith in Trent? I know Hammer has Robertson. Kazim, you keeping the faith in Trent?
I'm still on the fence. Like, I do want to get rid of him, but it's
a very luxury. It's a luxury transfer, though. You know what I mean? Like getting rid of, like, unless you're using it as one of two transfers to make space for something else. But I feel like, for me, I have other areas to address in my team if I was going to sort of transfer. And
for me, like the the big decision is, so right now I have Brewster in my team. So I'm deciding if I should give him a week since I stuck with him for so long, given they have tough fixtures, or do I take this money and just stack up my strikers, right? So with that extra 3-4 million, I can potentially upgrade to a Werner, where I would have Jimenez, Werner, and DCL. So do I think that would do better than Trent right now? I would think so, but it's just a matter of where do I want to put that money. I'm just not sure yet.
Yeah. It's a
But
bit
if I
of
had Robertson, I would stick with him just because, like Hass said, the underlying stats seem to be in his
he's
favor.
actually like different class. Is 3 times as many touches in the box as any other Liverpool player or any other defender. One of those, but it was an insane stat either way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And one of the things I was looking at is, why Trent isn't getting up so much. And I think that's because Klopp probably thinks that's a weak side for them defensively. So if you watch when Henderson plays, he always goes in front of Trent, right? He's trying to block that, the run from the midfielder. So because of that, Trent doesn't get as far forward.
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens now with VVD out. I know we read a stat that said that prior to VVD joining them, they scored a lot of goals, and that was when Salah and Mane had one of their best seasons with like 30-something goals, right? But they conceded a lot. So the question is, do they go back to outscoring their opponents, or do they start sitting back and saying, we need to hold back? If they start outscoring their opponents and saying just go out and score 5 goals, then you want their defenders. You want Robertson or you want Trent, just in case they start piling forward every single game, right?
True.
So we'll have to see. But yeah, as Kazim said, like having Robertson, it's a luxury. So if you want a Werner or if you want an expensive forward or midfielder, you need to get rid of one of them.
Yeah. It's just hard. I feel like they're mainstays in our team, just generally.
That's the sort of guy you want to keep for 38 weeks, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I started a spreadsheet.
Is this value in risk of dropping or not yet?
No, I had a look. I don't think it is. Not for a
Safe,
few.
right? Yeah.
No. But no, I started a spreadsheet for my team. I thought I'll have it on Excel. And the only thing I filled out was Trent from game week 1 to game week 78. And it's the only thing I'm going to flop on now. But yeah, I think there's a lot of options. One more that, and I don't know if you heard last week, but Hammer was not very happy with us talking about Villa too much, right? And so we apologize to the viewers for that. Firstly, thank you all for the views. Really appreciate it. We're genuinely honored and we really enjoyed that. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Not you guys, but you guys. But no, we'll come back to Villa again. And defensively, they've kept 4 clean sheets now, I think. No, 3 clean sheets, I believe. And it's quite impressive. Massey Cash, 5 million, Konsa, Tyron Mings, an English centre-back pairing as well. Might be something to look at for Southgate. But, is this are there underlying numbers to back this up, Hass?
You know what? Just looking at it, normally with goalkeepers, I like to pick a 4.5 and then you keep them for the whole season because the difference between the best goalkeeper and the worst goalkeeper is normally about 40 points, 50 points over the season. So it doesn't matter. And, usually Pope, he's the guy that everybody goes for. This season, he was a bit more expensive. But I think when you look at Martinez, what he's doing there, I think he's probably the best option now if you had a season-long keeper. So if I was on a wild card, I'd probably bring him in.
Yeah, I had a wild card and I went with McCarthy because I thought Villa would concede lots of goals. Yeah. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Villa, it's a great shot, Martinez, to be honest, because there's no rotation risk. There's no sort of issues with that. Seems like a bonus point magnet as well. But they weren't conceding too many shots last season either. And I think they've maintained that. But I think the fact that they just have more confidence in their keeper is what's helping them out more.
So if you actually watch the game, I know they won 1-0 with the last minute goal from Barkley, but they had moments where the defense looked shaky, right? And the way they countered it was try to pass the ball forward quickly and then keep their possession in the other half. So the question ends up becoming is when the other teams try to keep more possession, right? When they can't just counterattack, will that defense falter? I think it's a better option than the Sheffield United that everyone was on last year or Wolves, right? But I don't think they can keep up the pace of 3 clean sheets every 4 games, right? You're not going to get that going forward.
Yeah.
So you have to keep a watch on them because they will start reducing their clean sheets. And like Hass said at the beginning, you want those defenders that get attacking returns, and their team doesn't have defenders that climb forward every game. So you might get maybe a header from a corner, but they don't have attacking fullbacks.
Yeah, I do see that as well. But given that they still have a fairly, like, I'm going to give the example of Chelsea here. Like, I don't think they concede that many shots. It's just that they have guys who can defend, and as a goal you can make saves. So I think that sort of works in their favor. Yes, they may not be as attacking, but they do have guys who can defend and clear the box. So what I see them as being close to like a Burnley of last season. Maybe Burnley's going to pick it up too, so there could be options there. But I still think defensively, you have options and they're fairly well priced. So I would look at least one of them. Maybe not double up on them, but I think there should be some sort of mix of either Martinez or maybe Konsa because he's 4.6. But yeah, I think you have 2 good options there.
It was just sort of written in the stars that Burnley had to be part of the first 0-0 draw as well. I think it was just, it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been acceptable any other way. But yeah, moving on sort of to the midfield, and I didn't catch the United game again because it was pay-per-view, and United options, are they worth considering? I thought it ended 2-1 to be honest, and I was sort of quite pleasantly surprised when I watched Match of the Day. With Wan-Bissaka with a great finish as well. But generally, Hammer, like, quickly, are United options worth considering, or because you are then thinking about them against Spurs, against Chelsea, against those sort of assets, are they there yet or not so much?
I would consider Bruno or Rashford. They'll start every game, and everything runs through Bruno.
Okay.
So I would consider him because you could see in the last game, like literally everything that happened went through him, right? He takes the penalties. He kept running forward every game, right? Even when Martial plays, he's running into the box every time. And I think now with the way they played, Ole might try to change that formation and get Bruno playing closer up with 2 defensive mids just because of the success there. And I just looked at the formation for the Champions League squad, so he's doing the same thing. So I would say Bruno's worth it if you have someone more expensive and you want to downgrade who's not doing well, like if you have a KDB and you want to go down to Bruno, that works if you already have like a Spurs player. But I would prioritize any Spurs players or Liverpool players if you don't have them.
Okay, nice. Hass, what do you think? Similar?
Yeah, I'm not interested in Man United right now. I think Bruno, he's like Hammer said, he's the best guy to get in. He could be a straight swap for KDB if you're looking, if you don't want to go with Son. But yeah, I think penalties is huge, and we know United they have been winning a lot of penalties over the last few game weeks.
Yeah, I know you said this last time, is that generally because there's a lot of United fans, their ownership will generally be high, but that shouldn't be something to worry about, no?
Yeah, no, I think ownership is something you look at when there's somebody who's cheap and he's scoring goals and he's 50% odd. You look at him, but and especially with the United ownership, that's when United get clean sheets. It's red arrows all the way for everybody who doesn't have United defenders because there's so many people with United defenders in their team.
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm going to throw it back to you in a different way, but just generally, if you were thinking about sort of United assets versus a Havertz or Pulisic, where would you sort of land with? How did you find Pulisic this week? Does he look match sharp? Is he someone? He was a gem last season.
Yeah, I mean, like if it wasn't for this week where Bruno, got 11 or 12 points, my transfer was going to be Pulisic too. So from Bruno to Pulisic. So from what I saw from it, it was great. Like you could obviously tell he wasn't fully match fit. So he got about, I think, 80 minutes in. So I still think he is, between him and Werner, they're going to be the more popular prized assets in terms of going forward and creating. So if you do have the option between the two, I would.
I mean, just say if you were wildcarding basically and you wanted a Chelsea asset in, you would go.
Yeah, I would still go Werner if
you had two. Okay, so between the three, then you'd do what? Werner and Pulisic? Like not double up, but just those would be the ones you'd be deciding between.
I wouldn't double up just yet.
No.
But I would consider Werner over Pulisic right now, at least, just given his performance
Great
last
goals, to be honest. Really nice finishes.
Yeah, very like, I mean, from all the highlights I saw of him at Leipzig, this is what I was expecting. And
Nice. Yeah,
he did show glimpses of that in some games, but now he actually, I guess, converted them.
Yeah.
And he's a very like Chelsea have always been cursed with strikers, but I think his mentality, he's not like someone who gets phased by that. Like you could tell after the first 3 games, he knew like, he's not like, I got to score. He knows it's going to come.
It's more like, I got this. It's just like,
it's not a.
That's why I think he wanted the penalty as well.
German, like he knows he's gonna, pick it up. I guess it's just the chemistry between the team.
And to be fair, most people can't afford sort of a Kane and a Timo Werner. So, Hass, what would be your thoughts about Timo? Is he the real deal? Is he just a late riser?
Yeah, so just looking at underlying stats, like I know he had a good game, where he scored 2 goals, got an assist. It's good for fantasy. But in terms of his expected goals, expected assists, like he's nowhere near Kane right now. So, I think like Kazim said, I think the team has to gel. Once Pulisic gets into it, Havertz starts kicking in, maybe create some more chances for Werner, then he might be a viable option, and then you save £2 million. But right now, for me, if that was a straight choice, it'd be Kane.
Yeah. Okay, no, fair enough. I mean, his numbers are insane. Hammer, would you sort of feel similarly? I feel like we're having a lean on form, sort of, because Spurs are in form. They have the games to back it up. They have the fixtures to back it up as well. So it's the perfect storm. But it's also one of those where it's the kind of thing where if Spurs let you down, then a lot of people are going to be let down as well.
Yeah. See, I have Jimenez, so I need to drop maybe one defender or one midfielder, just slightly lower, and get Werner in for Jimenez, and I go 3 strikers. If I bring in Kane instead, then you're banking on Kane and Son, and if they have a bad week, then I just don't see Kane and Son scoring 2 goals, 3 goals every single week, right? Like it might be a game where Son does nothing and Kane gets 2, or another week where Son scores 2 and Kane might get an assist, right? So I'm gonna take that alternating week between the 2 and maybe grab a Werner just in case he can fill in those gaps. I still think he can score goals because he looks quick, he looks good, and Chelsea look good going forward, right? Defensively, they don't look so good, but we know from last year they can score goals.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. The appeal, Kane was, I feel like Kane at 10.5 is like, it's as cheap as it's ever been in an FPL season, I think. He's always
10.7 now.
10.7, yeah.
Yeah, if it was 10.5, I could afford him. But yeah, it is painful. I know then it comes to sort of facilitators like Brewster and stuff, potentially as your third striker, and then go 5 across the middle. But we've spoken so much about them that I feel like they're very viable captaincy options as well this week. So it's a good point to sort of move on to captains. But what are you guys thinking? Anyone?
As I said last week, I'm going Salah every week.
Always Captain Salah. No underlying numbers, no nothing. Just always Captain Salah. They do have a good game though. They play Sheffield on the Saturday. There's also a Friday night game this week. Just Villa Leeds. That should be interesting.
Villa, yeah.
But Kazim, what are you thinking? I know City.
Yeah. So I mean, Hammer sort of got into my head last week that, just pick a Liverpool player. I mean, I don't have Salah, so I guess I don't have those luxuries. But so I captained Mane. He did okay, I guess. He got a goal. But now I'm on the fence.
He deserved
basically between Son and Mane. Most likely going to lead towards Mane.
It's a good problem to have, though, between Mane and Son. I don't have Son, so I don't have those kind of luxuries. What's your sort of thinking behind it?
I think, always captain Salah. You can never go wrong with that. But I do think one of the Spurs boys, like, if I had Kane, or if I had Son, I do have Son. So Son's an option as well. So that's something to look at.
Okay. They play Burnley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burnley away, and like I mentioned, like Kane's underlying stats for the last few away games has been really good. I think that new role where he knows now. I think he's not an out and out number 9. I think Kazim mentioned that, so it's helping his game.
Nice. I'm gonna jump onto these dodgy differentials that we looked at last week as well. Has we missed you, but we had your pick, Phil Foden. Kazim, top of the pops, congratulations. Ross Barkley, all that Villa talk was actually worth it. Can we just say?
Yeah, I mean, it came sort of very late in the game, but I guess I'll take it.
No, definitely. And like we said, Foden could have had a goal. I am holding strong with, like you very nicely pointed out, an average of 1 point a game. So we're going to cover up Brewster there. And his 1 point. But yeah, this week's picks, we'll go bottom to top. And I will start with Phil Foden. I have him in my team. Bit of a soft spot for him now. And against West Ham, I had faith in the West Ham low block, but not anymore after what Spurs did. And I feel like Foden could be in for some points.
Is he playing in a KDB role? Is that what?
He's playing off the left of the middle three.
Okay.
Yeah. But he does get forward quite a lot as well. Hammer, who is 5 points ahead of me.
Yeah, I went with the fixture, so I was going to go against West Brom. Can't pick Mopey again, so I'm going to go Solly March. He climbs forward quite a bit on the left-hand side, and he ends up playing like a left forward. So from a midfield perspective, at 5 million, he can gather a lot of points if he gets on any shot or anything in the box.
Nice. Hass?
Yeah, I think, Kazim picked Barkley last week, so I nabbed him this week. I think he's a good option. He's cheap. Such low ownership.
Is he 5.9 million? Is that up from 5.5 or is that
No,
down?
it's down from 6.
Okay.
Yeah, it dropped. And the role he's playing, he sits just behind the strikers. It's a good role for him. And even if you look at the last time where he actually had a good run of games, which 3-4 seasons ago, he scored a lot of points, so he's got potential.
Yeah, I feel like he is well set up to be like a big fish in a small pond, and I think he'll do well there. And in Everton, he was a must-have when he was at Everton as well.
Yeah, agreed. He's good. I think, if you had money, like outside of the differentials, if you could pick any Villa midfielder, I think it'd have to be Grealish. But, as a differential under 10%, I think Barkley's a good shout.
Yeah, nice. Kazim, defending champion, talk to us, man.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just going for another random pick. But I mean, from what I saw in this game, like Lookman looked very good. I think he got transferred from just on deadline day from Leipzig, I believe. But yeah, he was getting in the box a lot. He was, I guess, getting passes to Mitrovic. Mitrovic seemed to be missing a lot. So I think if they can sort of build on that partnership, where
great goal as well, though.
Yeah, his goal was, he got a bit lucky on I think he did some fancy little deke and it deflected off the defender.
Yeah.
His finish was pretty class, and I think it would be a nice entry into I guess one of the relegation teams if you're looking at
investing in a relegation threat team.
Yeah. Well, at least when the relegations grab comes, maybe.
That's true. That's true. How I said, clean sheets are going to come when teams' life depends on it.
Yeah. But
yeah, okay, that covers it. I'm hoping for a 20-point haul from Phil Foden so I can catch up with you boys. But it was good catching up. I have 2 free transfers this week thanks to my patience with Son. So with KDB rather. So wish me luck. Any final thoughts, lads?
You're going for that top spot?
No. I'm just it's the tortoise and the hare, man. I take it slow. Game week 16 is when I kick into action. Unfortunately, Hass also kicks into action in game week 16.
That's it. Second half of the season. But I guess just for the viewers at home, I think you mentioned that Friday is the deadline. So just watch out for that.
Yes, great shout. Also, thank you for all the views. If you can give us a like, we'd really appreciate it. Kazim has a notification set up on his phone for any likes, so that would really
I tend to track those statistics. But I guess the one thing I was going to sort of end off with is that, I mean, this is a conundrum I face every week, is that you can't have every player. So you just got to, as long as you can come to peace that even a player you're considering does well, like, don't let it get to you, because it's going to happen at the end of the day.
But also, sorry, just to interrupt you, there's no greater joy than a player that you dropped not performing. I think that's the best FPL joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That
facts.
is
That's
true.
facts.
Also, sorry, finally, just before we go, shout out to Maz, who is top of our mini league.
Really.
We said beginner's luck for a week or two, but genuinely have to respect his free hit this week. I think it was 79 points playing his free hit. I mean, you question whether it was worth playing the free hit. It was 79 points and top of the table, I think leading us by about 30, 40 points. Just respect.
Yeah.
Motivation for everyone to come and do better.
Yeah, 100%. Massive motivation. All right, guys, like always, been a pleasure. And take it easy, like, subscribe, comment. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks a lot.